Hello, future leaders and CEOs. Today we're going to be looking at what distinguishes a manager from a CEO. That's what we'll be looking at in this video today. And it's going to be a deep dive. We're going to be looking deeply into the subject and seeing how a CEO emerges from someone that is used to being a manager, running the day-to-day, daily grind in an organization, in a company. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And join me as we explore this subject together. Thank you. I'm Olumu Olusoya. I'm a business and life coach. I help to train CEOs and also develop strategy for boards and companies seeking to grow and also set enduring legacies for their companies. So today we're going to be looking at making that transition from a manager to a CEO and the most important things to do when in that transition. So if you're a manager, if you're a future leader, if you're a CEO, or you just became a CEO, or you're a CEO already, and you want to be able to make that trajectory and make sure that you are on the path to visionary leadership, this video is for you. So we're going to be looking at how to transform the way you think uh, and take your role from being a day-to-day operations, and you start leading an organization, into the future. That's what it's all about, charting that course. So for you to think like a CEO, you need to be able to leave the daily grind of daily activities, of operations, and focus on where you need to go as a company. So you ask yourself this question: where do we need to go as a company? Where do we need to go as an organization? That should be the focus. Once you make up your mind that that is the direction you are going as a CEO. So we're going to be looking at what works, and from example, what are we going to learn? We're going to be looking at, number one, how do you move from task to vision? How do you move from setting tasks to actually fulfilling a vision? That's very, very important. Then strategy, the strategic inquiry, the importance of evolving from what is working now to thinking the mindset of the future. What is going to work in the next 5 years? Think about it. What is working for the company now? Then ask yourself this question: what is going to work for this company in the next 5 to 10 years? How will we survive as a company? How will we survive as an organization in the next 5 to 10 years? So that the kind of questions you need to be asking yourself as a CEO. So taking that strategic inquiry is also very important. Then long-term thinking. How do you get into that mindset of long-term thinking, where you think long time, you think long range. You are not thinking in a myopic manner, where you're just looking at short-term returns and short-term growth, but thinking about legacies, thinking about how to endure and how to make a system last, how it will outlive you and go into many generations. Those are the kind of things that we're looking at in the next segment. So having introduced this concept, now let's dive deep into it. How do you move from task to vision as a CEO? And you have to see that you don't focus as a CEO on minute things, on the day-to-day issues, day-to-day operations. You need to have developed a team of trusted leaders, head of departments, head of business units that will handle all the day-to-day. And before you can do that, you must have carefully selected these people. What it means is that you must have had a process of reviewing people that come into the organization and making sure that they are chosen by merit. What it means is that they are carefully selected. They are people that have competence. Apart from confidence, they also have commitment. Commitment to do the job is very important. Then they also have character. Character says that they're well behaved. They have a good track record. wherever they've worked. And if you have groomed them from entry level in the organization, they have a track record of good character, good behavior, good attitude, ability to work with others, then epitomizing the company values, the values of the organization. You must have tested them to be sure that they have actually epitomized all these values of the company. So competence, commitment, character. The three C's for me: competence, commitment, character. So once you do that, moving from task to vision will be easy. It will be easy because you have a team already that you have raised. Is either you groom these people yourself or you selected them through a process that is transparent, a process that has governance in it itself. Merit is there. They have been chosen through a wide selection. That means your reach is wide because if you, for example, if you want to select leaders, if in trying to select those people, you don't reach out wide, you will not have, you know, you will not have a lot of options to pick from. So you want to make sure that you properly advertise those roles so that everybody can be reached that is qualified to apply for that role. And there is no hindrance, there is no barrier to applying. That way you're able to come up with a list of very good options. Then you can pick who is competent, who can show level of commitment and character and a track record that you can actually verify. So when you do that, when you bring those people in, you need to coach them, you need to train them and set boundaries, set KPIs, key performance indicators for them after they're buying on these key performance indicators. When you do that, then you can easily move from task to vision. You can now delegate those daily grinds of operations to these people that you have trusted, that you have trained, that you are coaching, that you have selected. Then it's easy for you to now move from task to vision. Then the second thing is the strategic inquiry. Importance of involving from what is working for us now as an organization to what will work for us in the future. As a CEO, you want to continue to think ahead of the market, the environment, the current trajectory, the current milestones that the company has achieved. You're not resting your oars. You want to make sure that you keep pushing boundaries, you keep moving up. You want to improve the outcomes for the company. I want to make sure that you set goals that you continue to surpass as time comes by. You are looking ahead. You are looking at the fact that everybody is not static in the environment. For example, your competitors are not static. They're also pushing boundaries. They're also looking for ways to improve. They're also looking for ways to disrupt the market. They are looking for improvement. They are looking for innovation. And they actually bring innovation to the market. You must be abreast of all this development and all these improvements in your environment so that you are not just thinking of yourself. You are thinking of yourself in the midst of that environment. The fact that everybody is thinking bigger, everybody is pushing, and you want to make sure you stay ahead of the pack. And that's the end of the strategic inquiry. What is working for us now as a company? What do I think as a CEO will work for us in the next 5 years? Is those things you want to start doing now so that you be ahead in terms of progress. The next thing is empowering your leadership. I've talked about the fact that you have chosen these great leaders through a good selection of competence, commitment, and character. You are grooming them, you are coaching them. In my other video, we talked about number one responsibility of the CEO, where we talked about leadership frameworks. If you have not watched that video, you need to watch it now. The title of that video is the number one responsibility of a CEO. And in that video, we talked about leadership frameworks. And one of the leadership frameworks I talked about was the situational leadership framework, which seeks to train leaders in such a way that they can respond to any unique situation by being flexible, by thinking out of the box, but also applying the skills of emotional intelligence to make sure that they're able to address every situation uniquely and also successfully. Now, coming to this now, I'm drawing in that point now to explain empowering leadership. How do you empower leadership in your organization? And that's where the value of delegation comes in. When you have chosen leaders that show commitment, competence, and character, you want to be able to delegate tasks to them. These daily tasks, these grinding tasks are the things you want to delegate to them. And you as a leader, you must be able to recognize the strength of each of your team members. You need to be able to identify their strengths, identify their weaknesses, and assemble them together and manage them to deliver on the task. So when you are delegating according to strengths of each of these leaders. And being aware of their weaknesses also wants so that you are watching out for them. And that's where the coaching comes in. What are their likely area of weaknesses? You want to pay attention to that area so that you can coach them. You can help them to improve. In these areas where there are gaps, that's where you focus on training. The investment in training should go to addressing these areas, and also your coaching should address those areas so that at the end of the day, those gaps can be filled up, they can be developed in those areas, and they will become better leaders. We need to be mindful of the fact that even you that you're a CEO today, or you're at that level in management today, you did not get there in one day. You have to realize that there was a lot of investment that went into your leadership. There's a lot of investment that went into your development to where you are today. And these things that we have also enjoyed, we need to pay forward for other people. And that's how organizations grow. That's how organizations actually are built to become institutions over several decades, over several years. That's what happens. So in investing in the future leaders, you have to empower them. And that's what empowerment is all about. Identifying people's strengths and weaknesses and helping them to develop strength from their weaknesses. A lot of people are open to learning. In the right environment, they will learn. They will imbibe the right attitudes, the right skills, the right knowledge, and the right culture. That's the truth. Where there are people that don't do that, they'll be outliers, and they can actually be addressed. So empowering the team is very, very important. And they empower through the heart of delegation is when tasks are delegated. That is when people are able to use their initiative. That's how they're able to develop their confidence. Because if they are not allowed, if they are not allowed to actually do the job, to take risk, to actually stay on the hot spot and actually do those things, they will not develop their confidence as a leader. If I cast my mind back to when I came into leadership, I was very, very crude. I was very, very inexperienced. But people took a chance on me. They trained me. They believed in me. They addressed the weaknesses I had and they coached me. And I became better with emotional intelligence because most of these things is not just about knowledge. A lot of people would acquire knowledge easily. That's not a problem. But emotional intelligence, the soft skills that you need to have in addition to knowledge are the major things that make leaders stand out. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is long-term thinking. As leaders, you need to explore long-term thinking. And with long-term thinking and innovation, it enables you to plan ahead of time, and you'll be able to consider trends. What are the trends in the market? What are the trends in the industry that you find yourself? Are you in the finance industry? Are you in insurance? Are you in healthcare? Are you in construction, property, telecoms, fintechs, whatever the industry is? What are the trends in your industry? As a leader, you have to be visionary. You have to be strategic. So you have to be thinking about the trends in that industry. Those are the things you should wake up with every day. You be thinking about it. And for me, I love to listen to Bloomberg News. I listen to local news also. Listen to the channels TV. And I read the business day newspapers. I read those business news because number one, I want to acquire knowledge. I want to be updated with a lot of information, a lot of developments. I'm keen about innovation. What is happening? What is new? What new is happening in every sector, in every industry? What are people thinking differently? What are the new ways they are innovating in every industry, in every segment? Because I learn a lot from that. Those things inspire me as a leader to also bring those things to my own industry and try and also project the same. How can we bring innovation to healthcare? How can we bring tech to healthcare? How can we bring tech to insurance? Those are the areas where I specialize as a CEO. But in helping other companies, this same thinking is also important. How can we bring transformation, innovation, technology to different industries in the economy? Very important. So you want to embrace the concept of long-term thinking and long-term planning and innovation. And you want to consider market trends as you do that. What are future technologies telling us? As we speak today, artificial intelligence is the future technology that everybody is talking about. So look at future technologies and consumer needs. What are customers earning for? What are the things they are looking forward to? What are the kind of products they want to see being developed for them? What are the kind of services they want to see being developed for them? Those are the kind of things you need to start thinking about as a CEO. And when I asked that question in the former step I described, what are we doing now? What do we need to be doing? What will work for us in the next 5 years? So you bring long-term planning and innovation to that thought to say that what are the future technologies? If AI is a new thing and is showing us what is going to happen in the future, in this my industry, how am I going to apply AI to make the services better, to make the products better, to make the customer experience better? If you are thinking about this every day strategically as a CEO, you're on the right path. This is very, very important. So that brings us to the end of the deep dive segment of this video. And I want us to bring our points, our mind to the point we discussed, that you need to make a transition to being a doer to being a visionary if you want to think like a CEO. And you have to cultivate a culture where questions about the future are the things that drive you daily. You know, as a CEO, questions about the future of the business are the things that drive your thinking as a CEO every day. And also strategic delegation, you need to identify leaders, you need to empower these leaders, and you need to support them so that they can support your vision. If you coach them, if you support them so that they can focus on the daily task, then you will be able to focus on the visioning, on the long-term planning, on innovation, and how to actually make future technologies and consumer needs work for you as a business. So that's how to handle it, making that your transition from a manager or a doer to a visionary or a CEO. So we're going to be looking in this news segment, we're going to be looking at two case studies. I love case studies because they are practical, they help you see yourself in situations and make those situations appear very real to you so that you can actually act on the knowledge, on the wisdom from those studies. The first case study is that of Steve Jobs at Apple. We're going to be looking at Steve Jobs at Apple and the transformation, you know, at Apple, transformative vision at Apple by Steve Jobs. How he actually implemented the famous think different mantra, and he used it to actually revolutionize the company with innovation, redefine the industry they were invested in, and set long-term goals for the company. And if you realize that, they're the ones that started all this iPhone 1, iPhone 2, iPhone 3, iPhone 4, iPhone 6, they had all those things lined up. All those technologies, all those innovations, at times they plan them like 6 years ahead. And you already know one is coming out, two is coming out. This is what's going to be the defining feature for iPhone 2. This is what's going to be the defining feature for iPhone 3. This is what's going to be the defining feature for iPhone 4. They lay it out like that. And the customer is wowed. Because most of these innovations, even the customer does not even know they need it before they have already gone ahead to think of those innovations. and actually brought it out. And this really revolutionized things. Another case study I like to disturb is Microsoft reinvention. How Satya and Nadella, the CEO of Nafra, reimagined Microsoft's future. And he did it by empowering his team and fostering a culture of innovation at Microsoft. So this is even going to be beyond Bill Gates. Bill Gates has been able to transcend from a CEO to a chairman, overseeing the entire group into the future. He has gotten into philanthropy. He's doing so many things across the world, meeting with world leaders and all that. And he has been able to reproduce himself. This is where I'm going. He has been able to reproduce himself by raising future leaders in the organization. Therefore, he can leave the organization. He's now the chairman. He's doing so many things around the world, in philanthropy, in the world global development and all that, in charity. And the CEOs he has helped to raise over the years are now running the organization, taking it to the next level. He just drops in once in a while to see that they are on course with the vision, they are on course with the culture, they are on course with the plan, the long-term plan, the long-term visioning that has been set for them. So you want to make sure that you reinvent the company, and that's what Satya Nadella did at Microsoft with the culture of innovation. You see it up today, Microsoft is still innovating. As I'm making this video today, they have already implemented artificial intelligence. Of course, they are heavily invested in ChatGPT and AI, and they are heavily invested in transforming, the service, software of the service. It's now going to be agent as a service now, where you have an artificial intelligence agent helping you to do all your daily tasks. As I speak right now, they have already renamed Microsoft 365 Copilot, because they're now bringing the agency, that concept of AI into it, where the AI serves as your executive assistant, helps you with your Microsoft Word tasks, helps you with your Microsoft tasks, helps you with all those apps. You talk to it and it does whatever you want it to do. That's the level of productivity we are coming into in this age. And the way they're going about it, they are going to deploy it this year, if not before the end of this year, early next year. They've already changed the name already. Office 365 Copilot. So they are bringing AI agents into that software as a service platform that they had before. And it's going to revolutionize everything. So imagine you talking to your Microsoft Word. I need to turn out this letter. Tell you, he hears what you're saying, picks it from the mic, and it turns out the letter for you. You don't have to write it, you don't need to type it. That's where we've gotten it. And I have already started using it. All my meetings, because I use Office 365. All the meetings I do, there's always a note taker. It's transcribing my notes. It's doing a lot of things for me. Those are things that we used to do before. You have somebody sit in a meeting, taking notes for you in a meeting. That is history now. The AI bot will actually do it for you, take the notes for you, save it properly. Said, you even tell you who said what. You divide it into you and the other person. So that the conversation is very clear. And from that, you can summarize what happened in the meeting, and there's a record of what happened in the meeting. And our life has become much more easier with all these technologies. So the third example I'm going to go over is a simple business example. I'm going to share a story of a company startup. They are transitioned from daily operations to strategic market expansion by adopting the CEO mindset. The example of a lot of examples of successful companies that start small, and as the business evolves, you need to make that transition. And a good example is, I will use the Interswitch Group. Mitchell Elegbe, very inspiring leader, very inspiring leader. He used to work in a bank, he used to work in an IT company, and the IT company looked at developing a solution for the bank. And then he was a youth service corps member, and he tried to, he was in the middle of that innovative process at that point in time, and he was chosen as a member of the team to actually drive that project. It was given to him as a task Despite the fact I was very young, and all that. And he took to it very well. He did very well. And the company now set up that subsidiary and he was chosen to head it from day one. So he started out as a member of a think tank team that brought out an innovative solution for the banking industry, right as a core member, NYC core member. He did not know that was going to be his future work, but he poured himself into it massively. And that's why you don't know how things are going to turn out. When you are given a task as a manager, as an executive, you don't know how things are going to evolve. And that's why I talked about competence, commitment, and character. Do it with everything you've got. Do it with everything you've got. You don't know how it's going to turn out. Because at the end of the day, you might as well just be working for yourself and you did not know at the beginning. And back to that story, Mitchell Elebe, he started working on that. He was sent to actually start that company. Nobody knew that company was going to be as big as it has become today. As one of the unicorns we have in Nigeria. It was the first unicorn actually, Interswitch. And probably too did not imagine it was going to be this big. But he went to the with all the dedication and he was at the heart of that innovation. And up to today, he keeps pushing the boundaries at the helms of affair of that group. It has become a very large group today that into so many things, so many companies, and it sits at the end and is still steering that ship with that visionary leadership. So somebody like that, a group CEO of InterSwitch, is not into day-to-day activity of each of the subsidiaries and all that. He's looking at the future. If he's thinking every day, he's thinking about what's the future of Switch, what's the future of payments globally. And those are the things that will be driving in. What are we doing today? What will we be doing different in the next 5 years that will keep us ahead? What are future technologies telling us? What's AI telling us, for example? How can we make our business different? This is an example of an indigenous company that has been a trailblazer throughout Africa, doing great things across all countries in Africa with payment systems. And with this bold step that InterSwitch has made, a lot of other fintechs have come out boldly because somebody dared to do these things. And they are also doing well. They're actually excelling in that payment space in Africa and globally. So those are very good 3 case studies that can help us to look at these things, and how to transition, how to think like a CEO. So I'd like to ask you a question at this point. Which of these 3 case studies I shared resonates with you? I want you to put it in the chat section, comment section, and let me know. And which one of them resonates with your current challenges, whether as an operations head, as a C-suite leader, or as a CEO, and you can discuss it. Maybe another video can come out of this that can address this issue that you'll be commenting about. And I want to encourage you to share your insights on how you can apply these similar tips and strategies to your own team members and to your own business. Just chat me in the comment section. Let me know how some of the things I've discussed in this video can help you in your business and with your teams that you lead. Because as leaders, all this knowledge you're getting, you must be able to transfer it to people that report to you. And that's part of delegation. That's part of empowering your team. As a leader, you don't hold knowledge. You don't hold skill. You transfer that knowledge. You transfer that skill. Because as you do that, it will help you to be able to focus on being a visionary leader so that you are not dragged down to daily operations. Because if you hold all the knowledge, all the skill to yourself, you will operate at the operations level. You will not be able to move into that visionary level. So you must be able to transfer all the operational knowledge and wisdom you have to your team members, empower them, let them run the operations when you focus on visionary leadership. That's the way it works everywhere. That's the way it works in leadership. So I believe I'll be able to address uh, that that section. Then we have come to the interactive section of this of this video, where I'll be taking 5 questions that have been asked in the past by followers about uh, how to think like a CEO. And the first question is, how do you know where you are going to be in the next 5 years? How do you chart the course? How do you determine where you want to be in the next 5 years as a CEO? To answer this question, I'll say that you need to know what vision is. You need to have a clear understanding of what vision is to you. You must be able to set a long-term goal. For example, what I'm doing today is part of my long-term goal, what I want to achieve. I've been a CEO of a large company. I also transformed to leading my own company. And while I was doing that, while I got to the top of that career in my industry, I started thinking about the future. In fact, from the beginning, when I started that role, my mentor asked me a question that, what are you going to be doing after this role? That you need to start planning for your exit. What are you going to do after this CEO role? You need to start thinking ahead. And that's where I started thinking, okay, what am I going to do? What are my skills? What are my passion? And if getting to the top of this industry, this profession is not an issue, what do I want to do with this wealth of knowledge I've acquired, or this skill, this connection, all these things I've acquired? Uh, what am I going to do with it? And that's when I started thinking about consulting. I started thinking about how to actually pass this knowledge to people. I love to talk. I love to teach. And most of the time, my wife would tell me that all these things you're always telling me, go and tell other people. People need to hear all these things you say. And I've had a lot of friends tell me that you speak very well. You speak very passionately. You have a compelling way you speak. When you speak, people listen to you. And you speak with a lot of insight. You speak with a lot of wisdom. And I started thinking about, okay, what am I going to do with all this stuff? And the truth about it, you can't keep all these things to yourself. You must let other people benefit from them. And I find out that when I'm talking to people, people bring questions to me. When I speak to them, they get encouraged, they get inspired, they get informed, and they are like activated. And most of them will come back to me and say, "You don't know what you did. You don't know what you did when you talked to me." I've heard it several times, and that's when I started knowing that no, you have a gift here. You need to share that gift. So in this phase of my life, as part of my long-term strategy, I will be consulting for government, corporates, individuals, writing several books in several of my focus areas, health policy, a lot of things. So that's part of my life, my own long-term thinking. So the question is, what's your own vision? I just shared my own example, my own story. What's your own vision? You need to set long-term targets. You know, look at where you are, look at your industry, look at the knowledge you acquired over the years, the skill you have acquired over the years. Look at the trends in that industry. Look at your passion, your strengths. Set a clear vision for yourself. You know, what are you going to do differently in that market? And if it's about the company we are discussing now, you're not talking about your own personal goals. What is the future of that company given the business environment, the current market structure, the needs, the growing needs of the consumers, the customers, and the developing technologies, the technologies of the futures that are emerging as we speak right now? What role is your business going to play in all these things I've just described? You need to be able to answer that question. You know, what are the potential market disruptions that are coming to your industry? What are you going to be? Are you going to be a leader, or are you going to be an observer, looking at them as people are actually, disrupting the market? And you have to now draw up a compelling vision that acts as a guide for you. You know, it will act as a guiding star. You know, the way the three wise men were guided by the star. That compelling vision is going to be like that guiding star that will now guide you in all your strategic decisions, because you are looking at the future, you are looking at the targets, and you move towards that target as you've set that path. So I believe I'll be able to answer that question, that how do I know where I want to be in the next 5 years, and how do I get there? So the second question I'll be answering is, If you are a CEO or you are just becoming a CEO, a leader, and you're asking yourself this question: how do I identify and empower the right talent? This is a very, very powerful question. How do you identify and empower the right talent? Earlier in this video, and in the first video I made, the number one responsibility of a CEO, I talked about the three C's. And I'm thinking I'm mentioning almost the fifth time in this video. I talked about competence, I talked about commitment, I talked about character. Any true leader you are raising must have any of these three attributes. They must have competence, they must understand, they must be qualified, the right background, the right education. They must have commitment, and they must be people of character. And all the three things I said must be verified. They must be verified. Gone are the days that some people will just write anything on a CV, because we're even in the age of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence can give you a very powerful CV, but you must be able to verify competence. You must have a way of verifying the commitment and the track record in terms of character of that person. So when you do that, your selection process must be guided by those criteria, so that when people come into meritocracy, merit even determines the way they are selected. And when you even want to sell it, like I said earlier, make sure that your reach is very wide. You want to advertise and make sure that anybody that has those three things is likely going to see your advert and apply for that role. And make sure there are no barriers. The process is transparent so that the right candidates can come through the door. And the process is stringent to pick the right talents. And once you do that, you can now start to delegate to those people that you have carefully selected. Those people are going to be the future leaders. I talked about Satya and Nadella, the current CEO of Microsoft, how he's taking the company to another level. Bill Gates had been able to transition from a manager to a CEO to a visionary leader. He's now at the board level. He's doing a lot of big things globally, but he has selected the next future leaders of that company, and they are running the company day to day. They even have a CEO who has now also selected other leaders that are doing the operations. And the overall arcing vision is still there, still being maintained. So you find out that you need to select the right people, you delegate to them, because you recognize their talent at the beginning. Then you can now you emphasize assessing them regularly. You know their strengths, you know their weaknesses. You work on their weaknesses with coaching, with training. Look for opportunities that will help them to develop their weaknesses. You personally coach them as a leader, and also make sure that you make investment in training and development to address the skill gaps. It may be educational skill gaps, it may be skill based, it may be emotional intelligence and soft skills. So you address all these things, and at the end of the day, their professional growth is guaranteed. And all that is guaranteed, they are under a system where they are being mentored by the CEO, by people on the top on the board. Then, you already have a good system of leadership training. That way, let it pay itself forward and let that system come. You have an orientation system at the beginning, even for the entry level staff. They are properly trained, and they go to the right orientation when they come into the company, where the values, the culture, all those things are distilled down. The processes are explained. They are trained on what to do, what to expect, and they actually step into those roles. And that's how to identify and empower the right talent. So as you delegate to them, they'll become more confident. You monitor them, address their weaknesses with trainings, with coaching, so that those weaknesses are now later modified and turned to strengths. And for people that will choose not to adapt, people that will not imbibe that culture, or they will have character problems, or will derail, and they can be shown the way out if there are no ways to remedy them. That's the truth. Because if you leave them in the system, they will destroy the culture of the organization. So moving on to the next question. The next question is, what risks do we face, and how can we mitigate them? When we face risk on the job as leaders or CEOs, how can we mitigate them? You know, Uh, as a CEO, there is need for strategic need, risk management. You must be able to forecast what are the potential threats to your business, what are the potential threats to the company, what are the potential market changes that requires contingency plans. From time to time, realize that you're not the only one in the environment. You're not the only one in the market. There are many players, and you don't determine the attitude of the players. You don't determine their behavior. You don't determine their ethics. For example, when you watch a game of football, you will see a lot of rough play at times. When a side is down, they're trying to catch up. They're trying to score a goal. Somebody is already beating them. They get very aggressive, and you start seeing a lot of rough play. You know, at times up to sheer wickedness. When somebody just goes for somebody's leg, and just want to take out a player that's very strategic in that meeting, in that game. And so in a game, you don't determine the attitude of your customer. You don't determine the emotions of your customer. You can only speak and talk for yourself. So, but you must be able to predict the risk, what can go wrong, what can happen. When I'm ahead in this game and I'm beating this opponent, they will get aggressive. They will start playing rough. They will start becoming more defensive. So you need to have a game plan for that. So tools like the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Scenario planning, this is where they come to play. You want to look ahead and look at the potential risks in this business. And as a CEO, you need to look at your SWOT analysis from time to time, quarterly, yearly, to see where you are in the scheme of things in the industry, in the market. Look at scenario planning. If this happens, what are we going to do? If this happens, what are we going to do? So you have a contingency plan. Just like in cybersecurity, you have incident response. Those things must be planned out. By the way, I'm certified in cybersecurity, and you find out that some of this, knowledge and skill is across, actually appears across all disciplines. So you have incident response in cybersecurity, just like in medicine, you have emergency planning. Emergency response planning. That's how the medical teams are able to respond to emergencies, and that's what you saw displayed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Globally, all governments around the world roll out emergency response planning and try to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 infection and all that. So that's how you mitigate the risk. SWOT analysis, uh, scenario planning. You want to look at the risk ahead and what will be your response as an organization to those risks. What are the plans? How are you going to respond? If this happens, this way I'm going to respond. If this happens, this way I'm going to respond. And that's how you manage risk and changes and threats to the organization. The next question, the fourth question is, how can one foster a culture of innovation in a company? How can I foster a question of innovation, a culture of innovation in my company or among my team as a leader? You have to understand that, building an environment where creative ideas, innovation thrive, is welcome and tested. You have to create that environment. As a leader, you have to create an endeavor environment that inspires your team members to be creative, to be innovative. They won't feel bad about thinking differently. They won't feel bad about bringing ideas to you. You should not be threatened by ideas of a subordinate, because that means that you are working against innovation. Even if it sounds like they are not saying the right thing, still listen to them. Test it. You are a scientist. Test it and see whether what they are saying makes sense or not. We talked about, in my first review, we talked about Netflix and Blockbuster. Netflix tried the new streaming technology. They embraced it, even though it was a very big risk at that point in time. They invested in it, and today they are the leader in that segment. You know, so there is a risk always involved in trying new things, and that's where testing comes in. You have to wear the hat of a scientist, test it, and see how it's going to work out. Discuss with your team, set up innovation hubs. In my first role as a CEO in a large company, I set up an innovation hub where we meet once every Thursday to think about ideas, to think about new things we can do differently. It's like a village meeting. Everybody is there from the lowest to the most senior person. And people start talking about different ideas, what we can do differently. And from those ideas, we actually did a lot of innovative things that we tested, that we tried. Some of them worked, some of them did not work. But as a leader, I did not turn down anybody. Anybody has a right to talk. There were even some instances where people talked and they were really very provocative, very rude at times when they brought out suggestions and all that. So, but you must allow them to talk. You must allow them to talk. Let them talk their mind. Let them speak their mind. Let them share ideas that are coming to them, even when it sounds stupid to you. It doesn't matter. And the ones that are things that are intelligent, that are innovative, you pick it out. You're not sure whether it's going to work, and you test it. You test it. When you test it, that's how you know what will work, what does not work. Some of them will need some refining. You refine it, and you move on. You know. So you find create an environment where innovation works. People discuss, they share ideas, like a research and development initiative and all that. And that's how big companies, the G's of this world, the Siemens and all that, they invest, they have a standing research and development innovation department that drives the future of the organization. There they invest in technology, they invest in AI, they invest in all those things. And they are constantly getting feedback from their customers on how to develop their products better. And in that feedback loop, they are continually encouraged to continue to develop and improve their processes and their technology. So that's how you can foster a culture of innovation. Make sure that the environment encourages people to speak, people to share ideas. They are not in any way threatened. Try and reduce the effect of this hierarchical structure that where people cannot talk to their superiors. If you want to run an organization that is going to be driven by technology and you're going to be at the cutting edge, you must be able to level people in terms of ideas and ability to talk. You must be able to talk freely, openly, and you test these ideas, you test these suggestions, and that's how you innovate as a company. The few questions I've been asked is, how do I balance short-term demands with long-term strategy? As a leader, as a CEO, as a company, how does one balance short-term demands with long-term strategy? And my response would be that you need to prioritize both of them. You need to prioritize what is immediate, that is going to help your operational efficiency, and what is also long-term, that's going to help your future growth. Two of them are important. One is urgent, you know, but not important. And the other is not urgent, but is important. So the long-term strategy, the long-term vision may not appear urgent to you, but it's very, very important. If you don't pay attention to it, your company is going to die a natural death in a couple of years. But the things that are urgent, they are staring in the face. For example, there is a power outage in your factory. You have to address it right now. You have to address it right now. But the long-term vision of that is that how do we become energy sufficient? How do we become energy independent as a company, whereby we are not under pressure to respond to the fluctuating volatility of energy prices and the cost to our business? So on a visionary trend, as a CEO, you might be thinking how to invest in renewable energy, solar, windmill, be able to provide energy off grid and in a cheaper way so that you are not under the pressure of the volatility of the energy prices, in the market. So that must be going on while you're addressing the generator failed today, the power plant, something happened, the electrical installation and things like that. And once you've sorted that out, then that energy issue is sorted and your company is on a trajectory of being energy sufficient and independent. And that approach to your costs is addressed once and for all. And I think that that's the way to look at the difference between short-term goals and long-term goals. As a leader, where you are allowing your team to run the day-to-day operations and you're giving them all the resource they need to keep those things running, you must be planning ahead. The things that don't appear urgent now, but they are very, very important. If you don't do them, the company is going to crumble in a year or two. You need to start addressing them now. For example, how do you raise capital for an impending, you know, capital, new capital structure in your industry? How do you prepare ahead? You don't wait till when the regulator says that the deadline, I'm giving you 6 months, I'm giving you 1 year. You already start envisaging what's going to happen in the future. And the time was my long-term strategy to this business and looking for ways to actually raise that capital. Are you going to access it through debt? Are you going to access it through equity? The people who have in the structure of the business, are they able to bring this capital to help the business? Is it business even viable? Those are the questions that need to be asked. Because whether you like it or not, you're not the only one playing in the market. And you don't have any control over that. What you have control over is what you can do, what is under your control, and the capacity you have. So it's either you are improving that capacity to do better for yourself, or you want to make sure that you get help and you get more capacity by actually bringing other people on board. So short-term goals and long-term goals in different areas. I just talked about capital, financial raising, and that's why you see a lot of companies that are raising money from the international community, from venture capital and private equity and all that. They are looking long term. They are looking long term so that when they need finances for growth, that's not the time they will now be looking for money. They already assemble partners that are going to join them from the beginning to make sure that funding is available for them at each phase of growth of the business. And that's very strategic. It's very strategic because it puts a lot of stress on you. The company is able to scale as and when necessary because you already counted the cost. You already assembled a team that's going to help you in that area to chart the cost for you financially so that you have enough finances to actually achieve what you want to achieve. I believe I'll be able to answer all the 5 questions. And I would like to say that I'm still willing to accept more questions that you may have. You watch this video, you feel that there's an area I've not addressed very well. Please feel free to drop your comments, drop your question as a comment, and I will try and respond to it. It might even inspire me to make another video so that I can respond to it. And like I've done in this video and even the previous one, I will try and be practical as possible. I'll share my own experiences. I will look at learnings from global business happenings and what we can learn from those things as we discuss together. So in recapping and in summarizing, I would like to say that shifting from what needs to be done to where I need to be go, where we need to go as a company, or where I need to go as a leader is a hallmark of how to think like a CEO. And you need to be able to reinforce the benefits of delegating tasks to leaders you have chosen, you have identified, and you have empowered. And you need to empower the right people, people that have demonstrated competence, have demonstrated commitment and character. Your recruitment process must speak to these 3 C's. You must be able to verify that those things are as the way they are. Don't be moved by what is written in CVs these days. AI writes very beautiful CVs. So verify competence, commitment, and character before you bring anybody on board, and start planning for the future as you develop these leaders. So I like to say that if you're ready to leave behind your old habits and start thinking like a true leader and start thinking like a true CEO, you need to think big. So I want you to comment in the comment section. Use the comment, think big. Just comment, think big. If you are ready to leave behind your old habits and embrace the new culture of thinking like a true leader, like a CEO, comment, think big in my comment section. I also have a community I'm developing. The details will be out. You can actually join that exclusive community and get a lot of content from me, a lot of live sessions where we come and we answer a lot of questions and we can help to actually explain a lot of these principles and how you can apply them to your daily life, to your business. If you've listened to this episode today and you have been blessed, you have enjoyed it, please subscribe, like the video, and also share to other your other friends, other leaders, or companies you think that may need this video. And we also run I also run a consulting practice. If you feel that anything that I've shared today might be of benefit to your company or to a company you like to recommend, please feel free to contact me and recommend what needs to be done, and we'll be able to provide that service to them. So what we want to do is we'll share more insights in more videos on leadership strategies, CEO success strategies, and strategic thinking. And this series I'm doing is called the 50 Leadership, the 50 CEO Leadership Strategies. That's the name of the series. And this is the second video in that series. So there's still 48 more to come. You can imagine how loaded that is. And most of these experiences are from my own personal life experiences in my career and my business, and also learnings from global happenings in the business world. And these events have helped to shape, reposition my own mindset, and I'm sure it's doing the same for you. And I always say that life is what's just one big classroom. Every day, every segment of your life, the information you are seeing, something you are hearing, something you are seeing, is teaching you something, if only you are mindful. And that's why sharing these things is very important for me. And I think that in the next video, we are going to be looking at another topic, and that topic is going to be speaking to another leadership success strategy that will be very beneficial to everybody. I believe that we have so many things to learn from, so many things to learn from, you know, so many things to learn from. The next topic is going to be on the three biggest CEO mistakes. That's what we're going to be talking about in the next topic. And that's the next series, next episode in the CEO 50, the 50 CEO leadership strategies is the next episode 3 is the three biggest CEO mistakes. I hope to see you in that video, and please subscribe, share this with your friends and any leader you think that would need this. Comment in the comment section if you enjoyed this video. Comment saying think big, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you, and God bless you.